This is a lightweight folding stool. This is their 17-inch model, which is the higher of the two models they sell. I was provided this for free to review. If you wanted to purchase it, it would cost you about $18. They haven't paid me for my review, and my opinions remain my own. So this is advertised as a hiking stool, and it doesn't weigh too much, and it is flat. You could conceivably put this in a larger hiking backpack. I would think of its use more as a camping stool, car camping, RV, something like that, especially if you're looking to have a setup with 5 of these all stacked flat so that you can have, a large number of people at your campsite. Now it has these handles, and it has a snap here that will pull apart. So that snap is pretty strong and it keeps it in place, and you basically can pull this apart, and when it's apart like this, you could use it to carry something. So that's kind of the idea, is there's a carry thing. Oh boy, that's hard to push down. This is the first time it's been unpacked, and so I can see why it might take a little effort there, but there we go. Okay, so it's a conformant mechanism. You basically snap it out like that, and then you sit on it. According to the manufacturer, this will support 220 pounds. They say it's suitable for adults or children's supervision. You can see here you could conceptually put things in it and use it as a tote to carry them, but it doesn't really sit flat. I mean, it kind of sits on its side, but it doesn't sit flat. Now, the first thing I notice about this is that it looks pretty short as a 6-foot-tall individual. This is definitely a stool. It feels sturdy. It's a little wiggly when you first have it sitting here because it doesn't evenly sit down. As soon as you put weight on it, it flattens out and fits the ground perfectly. So it's comfortable to sit on. There's a curved bottom here. It has enough coverage so that I am sitting on it. I don't feel like I'm really hanging over the edge or anything. My knees are up higher than in a camp chair. This is a stool, but it wouldn't be uncomfortable at all for sitting around. It's certainly better than sitting on the ground. It's kind of like sitting on a decently sized log, I guess, is one way to describe it. Although this is better than a log, because a log would be curved, and this guy is curved in the right way to support you and kind of keep you around. There's no back support, obviously. So if you are looking for a lightweight, foldable camp stool, these seem like a pretty good option to me. Let me see how easy it is to pop back. So popping it back wasn't hard at all. You snap this snap to keep it together. Now that it's been moved once, let me open it up again and see how difficult it is to set up now that it's been set up once before. And I know what I'm doing. So yeah, that wasn't hard at all. Now that I know what I'm doing, it's been flipped once. These hinges here are looking a little white, so I don't know how many cycles those would be rated to. I could see at some point in the future, if you flip this in and out hundreds or thousands of times, these hinges here might start to break. So that would be my only real longevity worry about that. But yeah, it's definitely feels strong enough for me, so I don't have any worries about it supporting me. It's very sturdy and strong there. Now, as a step stool, I don't like it as a step stool because it has this curve. You can stand on it. It's supporting my weight. It feels like I'm sturdy. I don't feel like I'm going to fall over. My legs can't get far apart. They're less than shoulder width apart here. If I move out, they're up on the side. So it's not as sturdy as a flat top stool for standing on. I mean, you can certainly stand on it. I don't really recommend it for standing. You're gaining maybe a foot of height there. So I think this is a sitting stool. So I think the real advantage of this guy is the flat pack nature. And so it's really for somebody who has a very narrow space to store this in, or maybe you want to store 5 or 6 in, have an ability to snap out a whole bunch of stools. I could see potentially something like preschool or kindergarten where you wanted to have the ability to have stools out, but you didn't want to have much space to store them. You're not going to have a small child popping this in and out. It's going to take a teenager or an adult to kind of do the dexterity and the strength and weight on it. I mean, it's not hard once you've done it the first time, but it takes a decent amount of force to pop that down. I'm also not worried about this unpopping. You know, your weight holds it in place and it's not unpopping on its own. You really do have to do a decent amount of force there to pop that back in place. All right, so the weight here is 1 pound, 3 ounces. You know, so it's pretty darn lightweight. You could easily carry probably 3 or 4 of these on one hand without any real trouble. So this is a unique niche product. I haven't seen this folding design before. It's interesting. It has a kind of a double use as a potential as a tote, and it's definitely lightweight and folds flat. It is a little low for super comfortable long-term sitting. It's a stool, it's not at all a chair, but it is super lightweight, super easy to pack, and it folds down really small. So the closest competitor to this that I have would be something like this, which is a folding step stool. And you could sit on this guy. I think the curved bottom part here is a little bit more comfortable for sitting. This guy, the big advantage is that stepping on it, you can get your feet farther apart. It's completely flat. It's really only giving you an extra ½ inch or 1 inch height here. You know, so step stool wise, this is pretty close to that guy. But from a stepping surface, that provides a lot better surface. Now this guy folds up kind of flat. It's thicker than this guy when it's folded. It also weighs almost twice as much. You know, it's 2 pounds 4 ounces, so it's not like a whole heck of a lot of weight there. But it's about half, just a little under half the weight. You know, and so thinness wise, this guy takes up a little more space that way, but you could stack probably 3 or 4 of these guys in the same spot that this guy would take. You know, so that's kind of what I'm comparing it to. And I think it serves a different purpose, but it's in that same general folding stool, step stool type class. So this step stool gives me, you know, about the same amount of support here. Both of them are lowish. So the flat top of this guy is not uncomfortable to sit on. The round top here is possibly a slightly better fit. Yeah, so from a sitting standpoint, I don't really have a preference. I think they're pretty much equal for comfort and sitting. Now for step stool use, this guy here wins. You know, it has the grippy things. You can get your feet slightly farther apart without having them twisted. You know, they both feel strong. They both feel like they're supporting my weight just fine. But you have that weird curved shape on this guy here. So in the back of my car, I typically carry around a camp folding chair like this. Really, you know, I pull it out of the car maybe 3 or 4 times a year. You know, you're over at somebody's house and you say, hey, I'm going to get my folding chair and we'll sit out in the yard. Just so you have, you know, if you go to a soccer game or something, it's there, you don't forget it. I don't think I would substitute this for the folding chair if I had to sit out and watch an hour soccer game. On the other hand, if you put this in the trunk of your car, it would take up essentially no space. It would just be underneath everything else. It's not big and bulky like this guy. It's certainly a little bit lighter. You know, this guy's here 5-6 pounds. This guy's basically a pound. So yeah, I could see this as something you leave in the back of your car just on the off chance, you know, you need to have a seat somewhere. But I think it's really going to be for somebody who has like an RV or they're going camping, especially if they need multiple stools. You know, if you just need one camp chair, you can pack one camp chair. If you want a place for 5-10 people to sit, you know, packing 5 or 10 of these is really taking up a lot of space. Whereas 5 or 6 of these guys, you know, you'll almost not notice it just stacked up wherever.